Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And from now, we're gonna see what are object-oriented programming, what are methods, what are classes, everything we'll see from the scratch in this complete series of object-oriented programming. Stay tuned, let's get started. Object-oriented programming, the name itself is saying that the code that we write is related to or is oriented on the basis of objects. Now, every programming language can be of two forms, either in the form of structured programming language or in the form of object-oriented programming language. Now, many of the languages like Java, C++, Python support object-oriented programming. Let's understand what it is and what's the use of it, everything in the coming session. Structured oriented programming is implemented in the forms of functions, whereas the object-oriented programming is implemented in the form of classes and objects. Maybe the classes and objects you heard of many times in object-oriented programming, but you may be confused what it is. Learn completely from the beginning what are objects, what are classes, what are methods. Everything we will learn in this session. Now, object-oriented programming related is completely dependent upon classes and objects. Now, one of the main advantage of object-oriented programming is that it's easier for troubleshooting. You can reuse the code through inheritance concept that we'll discuss in the coming session, and the flexibility of the code. We can do it by using polymorphism, and object-oriented programming is more suitable for the larger projects, and also abstraction techniques are used to hide the unnecessary details and only focuses on the relevant part. That's the one of the advantage of the object oriented programming. And there are a lot of advantages of object oriented programming that we'll learn in the session when we go forward. Right now we'll understand what are the concepts of object oriented programming. We have understood what is object oriented programming. We have understood what is the use of object oriented programming. Now we'll understand what are the concepts of object oriented programming. You can say object oriented programming supports many of the programming languages: Python, Java, C++. First, the concept of object oriented programming is class, object, abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So first of all, these are the six concepts of object oriented programming that we'll learn step by step in the complete session. Now, what is a class? Let me explain by definition what it says. It's blueprint of the object. अभी इसके लिए ये नया word आ गया, word is object. Let's understand even that word is an object. Object is an instance. Instance. Now, अभी ये भी समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि ऑब्जेक्ट क्लास को बोल रहे हैं इट्स अ ब्लूप्रिंट ऑफ एन ऑब्जेक्ट, और ऑब्जेक्ट को बोल रहे हैं इंस्टेंस, ये क्या है? सो लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड फर्स्ट. क्लास मतलब एक टेम्पलेट की तरह होता है, और ऑब्जेक्ट मतलब उस टेम्पलेट के अंदर वैल्यूज जो देते हैं वो होता है. सो यू कैन डिफाइन अ क्लास एज अ ब्लूप्रिंट ऑफ एन ऑब्जेक्ट. You can define an object as a copy of the class with actual values. समझ नहीं आया? We'll understand it again. So let's, अभी क्लास बोल रहे हो कि ब्लूप्रिंट ऑफ एन ऑब्जेक्ट है, और ऑब्जेक्ट बोल रहे हो कोई और इंस्टेंस है. सो ये बहुत कंफ्यूजिंग सा कॉन्सेप्ट है. लेट मी एक्सप्लेन इन द सिंपल वे. लेट अस टेक एन एग्जांपल. अगर हम लोग देखें कि एक कॉलेज है जो competition अरेंज कर रहा है, and the college has decided to give all the participants a participation certificate. Now what does the college do? It will first, how do the participation certificate is being printed? First it will write the participation, it will write the competition name, and then it will write dash. First it will create a template before it prints, right? So first it will write the competition name, and then it writes so and so, the name of the first participant, Mr. or Mrs. of year. यहाँ पे लिखेगा नेम, और यहाँ पे लिखेंगे ईयर. यहाँ पे बात ऐसे कंपटीशन समझ लो, ठीक है? यहाँ पे डैश मिस्टर एंड मिसेस ऑफ डैश ईयर पार्टिसिपेटेड इन ऐसे कंपटीशन बोल के ये एक टेम्पलेट बना दिया. Now whoever participates in that particular competition will be given the participant certificate. सो ये कॉलेज बार बार वो चीज़ टाइप करने की या प्रिंट करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. नाउ द कंप्लीट टेम्पलेट ऑफ दिस इज कॉल्ड क्लास. जस्ट डिफाइन दिस कंप्लीट टेम्पलेट. मतलब ये सारा जो भी है ये है ब्लूप्रिंट. फिर उसके बाद हम लोग जो वैल्यूज ऐड करते हैं इसके अंदर, जो नेम है, जो ईयर है, ये सारे चीज़ ना वो होता है ऑब्जेक्ट. देखो सिंपली यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि ये एक टेम्पलेट है. ये कंप्लीट चीज़ जो है ये एक टेम्पलेट है, और इस टेम्पलेट के अंदर जो भी वैल्यूज जाएंगे इट्स कॉल्ड ऑब्जेक्ट. दैट्स सो सिंपल. नाउ ऑब्जेक्ट इज इंस्टेंस ऑफ क्लास. नाउ ऑब्जेक्ट, फिर तुम जैसे पढ़ते हो कोई भी बुक्स लेके या जो भी चीज लेके, उसके अंदर बोलते हैं कि ऑब्जेक्ट कंसिस्ट ऑफ थ्री थिंग्स. वन इज स्टेट, वन इज बिहेवियर एंड द अदर वन इज आइडेंटिटी. नाउ व्हाट इज स्टेट, बिहेवियर, आइडेंटिटी, वी विल अंडरस्टैंड स्टेप बाय स्टेप राइट नाउ. सी, first let me explain you what is an attribute and what is a method. See, attribute is, you can define the attribute as a variable. Whatever the variable you define in a class is simply an attribute. Variable का मतलब I think everyone know. Variable is something which stores the data. Suppose a is equal to 10. Now a is a variable which is storing the data 10. A is equal to string string. Now a is a variable which is storing a string. Now this is what variables. Now in OOPS, variables in class is called attribute. And the functions we define it by def. Def is a keyword, def is a keyword that we use to create the function. Now when you see def fun, creating a function, print hello world, print hello. Now when we call this particular function, then only the output is being printed as hello. I think everyone got what is attribute and what are methods. Attributes are nothing but it's a variable in a class. Methods are nothing but the function in a class. Now don't get confused when I say methods, when I say functions. Just define methods equal to functions, variables is equal to attributes. That's it. Now, what is state, behavior and identity in objects? You can define a state as an attribute. State is attribute which reflects the properties of an object. तुम simply define कर सकते हो state is a properties of an object. जो भी तुम object create कर रहे हो वो properties जो होते हैं वो होता है state. I'll explain you completely when we do coding, because this is a theory part that will complete first what are objects, classes, and then again I'll explain you while coding with example so that you can understand and get cleared everything. Now what is behavior? Behavior you can say it as a functions or methods, that both are same. Method. And identity is something which gives unique name to object. Now ये हो गया क्लास एंड ऑब्जेक्ट. सिंपली ये सोचो क्लास एक टेम्पलेट है और उस टेम्पलेट के अंदर जो भी वैल्यूज जाएंगे वो होता है ऑब्जेक्ट. अ टेम्पलेट को जितनी बार तुम ऑब्जेक्ट्स बनाते हो उतनी बार वो टेम्पलेट की कॉपी बनाती रहती है. जैसे ऑब्जेक्ट 1 का ये कॉपी हो गया, ऑब्जेक्ट 2 का. योर ओरिजिनल कॉपी ऑफ, मतलब जो भी ओरिजिनल कॉपी होता है वो होता है क्लास. उसके जो भी डुप्लीकेट, जो भी वैल्यूज डाल के उसकी कॉपी बनाती है वो होता है ऑब्जेक्ट्स. दैट्स द डिफरेंस. नाउ लेट्स कम बैक टू द एब्स्ट्रैक्शन फॉर्म. What is abstraction? What is encapsulation? Right now we'll be seeing what is abstraction. Abstraction is nothing but hiding the implementation details, and it's only showing essential details. Abstraction का मतलब क्या है? You are completely showing the essential part, and जो भी back end में work करता है वो सारी चीज़ दिखाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. जो भी implementation के लिए ज़रूरी है वो सारी चीज़ हाइड किया जाता है और जो भी ज़रूरी है वो शो किया जाता है. That's what called abstraction. अभी हम जब देखें encapsulation क्या होता है? Encapsulation मतलब binding the data and the function into a single entity. Data plus function दोनों को बाइंड करके एक सिंगल एंटिटी बनाना है, उसको बोलते हैं एनकैप्सुलेशन. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर हम लोग एग्जांपल से देखें, सो क्लास के अंदर क्या चीज़ होती है? क्लासेस के अंदर होते हैं मेथड्स एंड एट्रीब्यूट्स. तो मेथड्स क्या हो गया? फंक्शन हो गया. एंड एट्रीब्यूट्स क्या हो गया, डेटा हो गया. सो यू आर बाइंडिंग द फंक्शंस एंड मेथड्स, दैट इज मेथड्स एंड एट्रीब्यूट्स इन वन एंटिटी दैट इज कॉल्ड क्लास. ये हो गया सिंगल एंटिटी. इसको बोलते हैं एनकैप्सुलेशन विच ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग सपोर्ट्स इन पाइथन. नेक्स्ट आता है हमारा इनहेरिटेंस का कॉन्सेप्ट. इनहेरिटेंस तो सबको पता है, जैसे हमारे ह्यूमंस में होता है इनहेरिटेड जीन्स, जैसे हमारे पेरेंट्स के जीन्स हमारे उसमें इनहेरिट होते हैं. सो दिस इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ इनहेरिटेंस. सेम कॉन्सेप्ट हम लोग पाइथन ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग में भी लगाते हैं. सो व्हाट इज इनहेरिटेंस कॉन्सेप्ट? अभी इनहेरिटेंस मतलब यू आर डिराइविंग another class from the existing class. If we learn it from an example, पेरेंट क्लास एक है और एक चाइल्ड क्लास है. मतलब ये तुम्हारे इफ दिस इज योर पेरेंट and this you are the child, then you are inheriting all the genes from your parent. That means you are inheriting all the, if you see in the form of programming language, you are inheriting all the attributes, methods, everything in the child class. If we see an example for this, suppose if I'm creating a class of parent, right? And if I create a definition, a function called m1, and I am just printing third one, and I'm creating another class child, and I am inheriting all the methods, attributes of the parent class. This is how you write the code when you inherit something. Okay, you write in parenthesis the whatever from where you want to inherit, right? Now this is and I'm writing the function of m2 cell, and I'm writing print method 2. Now what you have understood, we are inheriting this method in this class. जब भी तुम क्लास क्रिएट करते हो और उसके अंदर के मेथड या जो भी कॉल करना है, सो फर्स्ट यू क्रिएट एन ऑब्जेक्ट. अभी उस ऑब्जेक्ट को कैसे क्रिएट करोगे? अगर हमारा एग्जाम्पल ये है और हमें हमारी ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करनी है, let me name object as obj, and I'm writing the child function creating what? I'm creating an object. अब इस ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएशन के बाद मैं क्या कर सकती हूँ? आई हैव क्रिएट कॉल्ड दिस पर्टिकुलर क्लास. अभी ये क्लास क्या करता है? इस पर्टिकुलर क्लास को भी इनहेरिट करता है. दैट मीन्स from this particular class, whenever I create an object of this particular class, I can call all the methods, attributes of this particular class, parent class. अभी मैंने चाइल्ड क्लास को डिराइव किया है पेरेंट क्लास से, मतलब सारे जो भी चीज़ पेरेंट क्लास की होगी वो मैं एक्सेस कर सकती हूँ इस चाइल्ड क्लास के थ्रू. So how do you do it? You have created an object of child class. Now if you want to access all the methods or the attributes from the parent class, how do you access? पहले तो हम लोग ये सीखेंगे कि उस particular class के methods को कैसे access कर सकते हैं. You can write your object name obj dot. You can call any of the method by using a dot operator and calling m2. Your output will be something as method 2. ये हो गया. अभी मुझे मेथड 1 प्रिंट करवाना है. मेथड 1 कैसे प्रिंट करोगे? इस पेरेंट क्लास से. दैट फॉर दैट आई डोंट नीड टू क्रिएट अगेन एन अनदर ऑब्जेक्ट. सो तुम ऐसे भी कर सकते हो, पेरेंट क्लास को कॉल किया एंड मैंने दूसरा ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करके वो मेथड कॉल किया. सो इनहेरिटेंस का कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं रहा है. अगर हम लोग ऐसे कॉल करें तो इनहेरिटेंस का कॉन्सेप्ट फ़ायदा ही नहीं है. there is no advantage if you call again. So the advantage of this is that by creating a single object, तुम सारे मेथड्स एंड एट्रीब्यूट्स एक्सेस कर सकते हो फ्रॉम द डिराइव्ड क्लास. वैसे ही बहुत सारे इनहेरिटेंस कॉन्सेप्ट्स होते हैं. अभी मल्टी लेवल इनहेरिटेंस क्या होता है? मल्टी लेवल इनहेरिटेंस सेम सिंगल लेवल इनहेरिटेंस क्या होता है? ये एक बेस क्लास है, ये है डिराइव्ड क्लास 1 और ये है डिराइव्ड क्लास 2. समझ लो जैसे ये आपके ग्रैंड पेरेंट है, ये समझ लो आपके पेरेंट हैं, और ये समझ लो एक आप हो. If you see in the form of programming language, this class C2 class can access the methods, attributes of C1 and also parent class. That's only the multi-level inheritance. जैसे single level inheritance होता है. Now similarly you can write the code for this multi-level inheritance. Again, like you're writing a method 1, method 2, and you can access By creating an object of C2, when you create an object using C2 class, you can access all the methods and attributes of obj by using obj.m1. That is, here is m1, here is m2, and this is m3. Suppose there are methods, three methods that I have written in different class. So from obj, from this particular class, I can access the method 1 from this particular class. Because of inheritance, I can access method 2 from this particular class, and I can also call the method of that particular class. मल्टीपल इनहेरिटेंस को हम ऐसे बोल सकते हैं कि दो पेरेंट्स हैं और दो मेन क्लास है, उससे मैं एक चाइल्ड क्लास डिराइव कर, दैट मीन्स so there are two parent classes, and from these two parent classes I am deriving a single child. For example, this is class p1 and I'm defining the method m1 self print m1, और मैं और एक मेथड ले रही हूँ, this is def m2 self, and I'm also writing print m2. I'm also creating a child class c. C is the child class, and I am writing a method. So in this example, from this child class only I can access the methods and attributes of this particular parent class and this particular parent class. From this parent class I can't access the methods and attributes of this. It's not interlinked anyway. But you can see the difference that I didn't create the inheritance concept. यहाँ पे मल्टीपल इनहेरिटेंस के अंदर दो पेरेंट क्लास हैं, P1, P2, and your double inheritance, that is multiple inheritance is being complete. Creating a object, and in that you are creating using C. You are instantiating an object, right? उसके बाद I can access the method M2. I can also access the method M1 from this particular child class which I have created. But if I create another object, so you are thinking it can be reversed, but it cannot be reversed. Like obj, suppose I am creating obj1 object 1, and I am creating this object for parent 1 class. So इस चीज के लिए अगर मुझे object 1 dot m3 कॉल करना है, you can't reverse it, right? If I'm creating an object obj1 dot m3, you can't call it backward. You can do it in this way, obj1 dot m1, that's it. You can't call m2 even. M2 is even wrong because there's no interconnection between them. Now this is what multiple inheritance is. We have seen what is single, we have seen what is multi-level inheritance, we have seen what is multiple inheritance. Now we'll see hierarchical inheritance. Hierarchical inheritance में हम लोग क्या करते हैं, एक single parent होता है. It's like for one parent there are multiple children. Like for example, if we see parents have four childs, that is your two brothers and two sisters. Suppose इसको हम लोग class 1, class 2, class 3 और class 4, इस parent का चार child classes हैं. You can first create a class called parent, right? You can create a class first of parent, and then you can go with, you are defining a method m1 again. This is just an example to let you understand that how it actually works. उसके बाद create करेंगे class, जैसे हम लोग ने वहाँ पे लिखा this is a brother 1, लेकिन ये brother 1 कहाँ से inherit कर रहा है, parent से. You have to write m2. You are printing the method 2. Similarly, you are writing class s1. You are inheriting it from the parent and writing the method m3. You can go on writing it for this c3 and c4, right? But for this, let me explain you. It's similar to the single inheritance. The way you do is this is your one single parent, and multiple childs can access the methods and classes of parent class. Okay, multiple childs, these are multiple childs can access the methods and attributes of the parent class. That is what hierarchical inheritance is. For that, you can create an object. So let me take it as obj, and you are creating an object for your class sister1. See, you're creating an object of sister1 s1. Now this sister can't call the methods attributes of the class brother1. You can only call your parent. You can't call your brother class. You have to call your parent class. You're calling the method m1. That's it. Or obj dot m3. Similarly, you can do it with obj is equal to b1, obj dot m2, obj dot m1. So these are all the concept of inheritance. So firstly, we have created classes, then objects, abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and last we have polymorphism. And the last thing we have to do is with polymorphism. Polymorphism is nothing but poly means many, morphs means forms. If you see a small example for polymorphism, you know what does plus operator do? In arithmetic operators, we have plus. This plus can add two of the numbers, two of the operands, like 1 plus 1. This operator. So this operator will add 1, these two operands, and it will give you 2. But this in Python it can also work as concatenation operator. This plus operator can work as concatenation operator. Like if I write first plus last plus name, that means it will give you first, last, name. This one operator, this plus symbol is working in two ways. One, it is working as an addition operator, and the second, it's working as a concatenation operator. That's the difference. Similarly, you can go with multiplication. Multiplication, you can multiply two numbers, like 2 into 2 is 4. But in Python, it can also work as the replication operator, that you can replicate the values like str into 2. That means it will be printed str. That's the difference. This is what the polymorphism means. We will come across the polymorphism when we write the code, where one operator or one method can perform in different ways. Suppose, for example, if we see, for example, I'm creating a class of person1. Okay, a person1, I'm creating a function of greet, and I am writing print welcome to our channel. Creating another class person2, and I am writing the same function as greet. I'm writing differently, like name is equal to input, enter name, message is equal to input. For this particular function, I am printing in this way. I am printing message plus name. This is the same functions I am creating, but it's behaving in different ways. Polymorphism is nothing but you're creating a function or a method which are same but behaves differently in different aspects. Like in class 1, this greet function is just printing welcome to our channel. And in class 2, in class person 2, you're creating a function greet where you are entering the name and a message by your own, whatever the user wants, and you're printing it. That's it. This is the way polymorphism works. So by this we have completed the object oriented programming concepts. Simply, if we have a recap of it, classes, you can say in simply, it's a blueprint of an object. Now what is an object? It's an instance of a class. Then we have seen abstraction. Abstraction ke andar you are hiding the implementation part and just showing the essential details. Then we have seen encapsulation. Encapsulation matlab you're binding the data and function in a single entity. Then we have seen the concept of inheritance, where we have seen single inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and multi-level inheritance. And we have seen about polymorphism, where the one method or one operator can behave differently at different times during the execution time. Like we have seen the greet method. The greet method is just printing in one class, and the another class it's just taking the input and then printing it. It's performing differently at different classes. So this is what the advantage of polymorphism is. By this we have completed the basic things of object oriented programming, concepts of object oriented programming, what are classes, objects, attributes, functions, and later on we'll come with code. This is just a theoretical part, then now we'll jump back to the code. Stay tuned.